Inside an ambulance, paramedics desperately try to revive a man, but it's already too late. At the morgue, his body is examined. Deep cuts cover his arms, confirming a suicide attempt. With no identification found on him, he is labeled John Doe. After the attendant slides him into a cooling unit and shuts off the lights, the impossible happens. John Doe wakes up. He climbs out, wanders through the empty corridors, and finds a vacant hospital room. Without a word, he lies down on a bed as if nothing had ever happened. The scene shifts to Dr. Daniel Forrester, a rule-breaking psychiatrist who wakes up in his office to find his patient, Miss Lewis, softly singing "Happy Birthday" to him. It isn't actually his birthday, but he forces a smile anyway before calmly asking a nurse, Travis, to take her back to her room. Shortly after, a patient bolts toward the exit in a desperate escape attempt, but Travis and the other nurses tackle and restrain him just in time. Undeterred, Daniel continues his rounds to visit Mr. Burke, a volatile patient in the middle of a tantrum. Despite the danger, Daniel enters the room alone, calm and controlled, trying to talk him down. Elsewhere, at the medical examiner's office, Dr. Edward Graham is examining a corpse when a nurse approaches. She tells him they received a call from Metro Hospital to examine another body. Dr. Graham agrees and soon drives to the hospital. When he arrives, a doctor and a nurse are arguing. They inform Dr. Graham that the body he was supposed to examine has vanished. Meanwhile, a nurse checking on her patients suddenly freezes. Lying on one of the beds is the same man from the morgue, John Doe. He is silent and unblinking. When she asks when he was admitted, she receives no response. A doctor is called in to check his vitals, which appear perfectly normal. Confused by his catatonia, they decide to transfer him to the psychiatric ward. Back at the psychiatric ward, Daniel meets with the medical director, Sarah Gray. Daniel insists that Mr. Burke is improving and should be transferred to residential rehab, but Sarah disagrees. She points to his records. He is still unstable and dangerous. Sarah makes it clear that Mr. Burke is staying under observation, leaving Daniel to walk away in frustration. Soon after, Travis approaches Dr. Forrester with news. A new patient has arrived with no records and no history. Daniel attempts to speak with the man but gets nothing in return. Noticing the scars on the man's arms, Daniel recognizes the suicide attempt and instructs Travis to admit him. Later, when Travis tries to take a photo of the patient for his file, John Doe suddenly turns aggressive and violent. As the nurses rush in to restrain him, Daniel steps in. He speaks soothingly to John, promising to help him before administering a sedative. John finally relaxes into sleep. In his office, Dr. Graham checks the photos of the missing body. As he flips through them, he's stunned when he notices a spiral symbol in some of the images, catching his attention. That night, Travis and his colleague, Floyd, move John to another room. After Floyd leaves, Travis stays behind to review the file. Suddenly, the lights begin to flicker. John wakes up and approaches Travis, who lets out a scream. Moments later, Travis stumbles out of the room, coughing violently. When Floyd asks if he's okay, Travis only says he wants to go home. Floyd, unaware of the encounter, enters John's room to check on him and leaves, completely missing the fact that something is terribly wrong. In the parking lot, Travis reaches his car, but his condition worsens. He coughs uncontrollably, overcome by a sudden, sickening dizziness. The next day, Dr. Graham begins his investigation. He tracks the case back to a motel, the site of John Doe's reported suicide. The room is a wreckage of blood and neglected history. The owner grumbles, complaining that he tried calling the police, but no one ever followed up. As Graham meticulously searches the room, he finds a blood-stained ID. In the bathroom, the tub is filled with a mixture of blood and water. As it slowly drains, a chilling detail emerges beneath the surface, a strange spiral symbol etched into the porcelain. Graham heads to the police station and presents the identification card. John Doe's real name is Michael Clark. Despite the new lead, the officer admits they still have no updates regarding the missing body. He shows Graham the suicide note recovered from the scene. "I am the mouth of death. None are beyond my reach. Forgive me." Graham requests to visit the family, and the officer agrees. Back at the hospital, the man is finally awake. Daniel enters and sits, gesturing for the man to do the same, but the man insists that he wants to leave. Daniel refuses and tells him that he is still under observation. The man's expression shifts into something more disturbing as he reveals that he has no memory of how he arrived or even what his own name is. Dr. Forrester asks about his medical history, antidepressants, sedatives, or any prior medication, but the man simply shakes his head. His past is a blank slate. Trying a different approach, Forrester softens his voice and tells the man to close his eyes and think of his mother, urging him to remember her face. Instead of a memory, a loud, echoing roar fills the man's ears, sending him into a panic as he begs Forrester to make the noise stop. Disturbed and confused, Forrester steps out to the front desk and orders a nurse to call IT. He needs his laptop set up in room 4 immediately to try a different approach. Back inside, Forrester speaks with the patient again, instructing the man to listen closely and focus on a single spot on the wall behind him. The man complies. His eyes fix on the surface, and as his gaze steadies, the world around him fades into darkness. When awareness returns, he looks back at the doctor. He questions whether he is dreaming, but Forrester calmly assures him that he is not. Then he presses further, asking if he remembers how he got here. The man slowly nods, his voice barely steady as he explains that he died and somehow came back, but something else returned with him. He then reveals that he has already died twice, first in a fire, where he somehow woke again, and later after attempting to end his own life, only to return once more. With each return, the presence inside him grows heavier and more insatiable. Forrester leans closer, holding his breath as he presses for answers about what is inside him. The man's voice trembles as he describes it as something constantly spinning, flooding his mind with visions, horrific images of past events and glimpses of what has yet to happen. He then admits, in a faint whisper, that he has killed someone. Forrester is left frozen, struggling to process the confession as he demands to know how. Before the patient can answer, hysteria overtakes him. His vision snaps to black once more as he becomes unblinking and emotionless, a hollow vessel staring into nothing. Shaken, Forrester retreats to his office. He pulls a book on pathology from the shelf, searching for something logical, anything that could explain his patient's condition. His thoughts are interrupted by a knock as a nurse informs him of an emergency meeting called by Dr. Sarah Gray. When Forrester arrives, Dr. Gray delivers tragic news to the staff. One of their nurses, Travis, died the previous night from an unknown cause. Forrester is stunned, returning his mind to what his patient had confessed. That night, at home, Forrester is unable to sleep. He calls Dr. Gray to share his concerns about the patient, but she tells him it is too late and that they will discuss it at the hospital. Forrester agrees and ends the call. At the hospital, Floyd makes his rounds, checking each patient room one by one. He finds Miss Lewis outside her room, quietly sketching. He tells her it is already late, and though she hesitates at first, she eventually complies and allows him to guide her back inside. As Floyd returns to his station, he hears a strange noise. He checks the CCTV monitor and traces it to room 4, Michael Clark's room. He enters cautiously, but before he can reach the bed, a scream erupts from another patient's room. Floyd rushes out, leaving Michael's door slightly open. While he struggles to calm the patient who is hurting himself, Miss Lewis slips back into the hallway. She wanders aimlessly, then begins to spin, slowly at first, then over and over again. Moments later, Michael Clark approaches her. When the situation settles, Floyd returns and finds Miss Lewis collapsed on the floor, coughing violently. He rushes to her side and asks what happened, but she does not respond. He helps her back to her room. Inside his room, Michael lies on the floor, his body trembling as something overtakes him, flashes of Miss Lewis screaming tearing through his mind. The next morning, the phone rings. Forrester answers and learns that Miss Lewis is dead. He rushes to the hospital and removes the sheet. He is shocked to see her face frozen in a strange expression, her eyes wide open and her mouth locked in a silent scream. He then checks on Michael, but the man remains unblinking and emotionless, impossible to reach, forcing Forrester to walk away. Meanwhile, Dr. Graham investigates Michael's past and visits his former home, only to find it completely burned to ashes. With no evidence left, he drives to Michael's parents' house. There, he sees Michael's 2 children outside before speaking with the parents. He shows them a photo of Michael in the morgue after the suicide attempt and asks when they last saw him. The mother explains that Michael had been staying with them after the fire that destroyed his home and killed his wife. A week after that, he left in the middle of the night, abandoning his children, and they have not heard from him since. The father adds that Michael had begun talking to himself after the incident. Dr. Graham shows them the photo of the spiral symbol, but the father does not recognize it and leaves. As he prepares to go, the mother stops him and takes him upstairs to Michael's room. The walls are covered with articles about mass deaths across different places and times since 79 AD, all showing the same disturbing detail. Victims found with their mouths wide open. Among the clippings are notes and images marked with a spiral symbol. She then reveals another room where a dark spiral has been etched into the floor. It reveals that Michael Clark wasn't a victim. He was a seeker. Consumed by an obsession with the ancient occult, he opened a cosmic door, only to find that the abyss was waiting on the other side. Every act of destruction was Michael trying to fix his mistake. He burned his home to ash to incinerate the infection. He took his own life in a motel to kill the host. But he underestimated the parasite. The void refuses to die. Every time Michael tried to end the nightmare, the entity dragged him back from the dead, using his body as a bridge until it could find a new host to serve as its new vessel. Back at the hospital, Forrester secretly enters the medication room and takes a dose of thiopental. As he leaves, Dr. Gray confronts him, asking about the call he made last night regarding his patient, but Forrester tells her that he can handle it now and walks away. He disables the camera in Michael's room and injects him, recording everything. Michael regains awareness. When questioned, he admits that he has already killed 2 people. As Forrester presses him further, Michael avoids the question and instead warns that the force inside him is growing stronger and that everyone will die. He insists that the only way to stop it is to kill him, but Forrester refuses. Michael suddenly lashes out, grabbing the syringe and attempting to stab himself. Forrester stops him, drops the syringe to the floor, and forces him back into his seat. Suddenly, Michael lunges again, trying to take his life. But the staff arrives just in time and restrains him. Shaken, Forrester retreats to the bathroom, trying to steady himself as disturbing visions begin to overwhelm him. Screams echo in his mind, but he regains control and listens to his earlier recording. Dr. Gray soon confronts him, furious about his actions. She accuses him of illegally administering drugs without consent and removes him from Michael's case. Forrester apologizes, but she makes it clear that his actions are a betrayal. Determined to uncover the truth, Forrester goes to the morgue and examines Travis's body, discovering the same horrifying expression, eyes open and mouth wide. He then returns to Michael's room, locks himself inside, and wedges a chair under the doorknob. He demands answers, accusing Michael of the killings, but Michael denies it, claiming he is not the one responsible. Suddenly, his memory returns, and he recalls his identity, Michael Clark. He begins asking about his children, his voice rising into a desperate scream. At the same time, Forrester starts seeing visions again, different people screaming inside his head. Overwhelmed and frustrated, he lunges at Michael and tries to choke him, but the staff nurses force their way into the room and pull him away. Dr. Gray immediately orders them to sedate Forrester. At the same time, Dr. Graham learns that the missing body is alive and being held in the psychiatric ward, and that the patient will be released later that day. Back at the hospital, Michael's father arrives to bring his son home. Dr. Gray orders a nurse to prepare the discharge forms while checking on Forrester, who remains unconscious. When she enters Michael's room, she finds him wheezing as the lights flicker violently. Fear spreads across her face as he stares at her. Moments later, she begins coughing uncontrollably. A nurse asks if she is okay, but she does not respond and continues walking back to her office. Shortly after, Michael is released, accompanied by his father. When Dr. Graham arrives at the hospital, he sees Mr. Clark and Michael already inside the elevator as the doors close. He tries to stop them, but it is too late. He rushes to the stairs to chase after them, but by the time he reaches the exit, they are gone. Forrester eventually regains consciousness and notices that he is handcuffed, but he manages to break free. He rushes to Michael's room, only to learn that he has been released. He then finds Dr. Gray in her office lying on the floor, coughing. He calls for help, but moments later, she dies. Forrester quickly tracks down Michael's parents' address and drives there. At the house, Michael sits with his family at the dinner table. Suddenly, he begins wheezing as he becomes possessed. The lights flicker and dim. He falls silent for a moment, then suddenly erupts into a scream that echoes through the house. Terrified, the children and their grandmother flee upstairs. Following a final, deafening echo, Michael turns toward his father and begins taking his life. When Dr. Graham arrives, he witnesses the horrifying truth about Michael. Moments later, Forrester arrives and finds the parents dead, their faces frozen in terror. Upstairs, he discovers the children and Graham are also dead. Overcome with grief, he breaks down. Determined to stop Michael, Forrester grabs a wrench from his car and begins searching the neighborhood. He moves from house to house, finding each one filled with lifeless bodies. Finally, he spots a house with flickering lights and enters. Inside, he finds Michael with another victim. He attacks him with the wrench, but Michael overpowers him. When asked what he wants, Michael gives a chilling single-word answer:
everyone.
As police sirens approach, the sound catches Michael's attention. Forrester seizes the moment and strikes, but Michael overpowers him once more, attempting to take his life. Forrester begins seeing visions again, people screaming in agony, until a black spiral consumes his vision. Clawing back control, he gathers his strength and repeatedly strikes Michael in the head with the wrench until he collapses. Refusing to stop, Forrester continues the brutal assault until Michael is dead. Authorities arrive to find the entire neighborhood devastated. Inside the ambulance, a medic tries to speak to Forrester, but he does not respond. He sits in total silence, unblinking and emotionless. The horror has not ended. It has only moved to a new host. If you enjoy this video, like and subscribe for more movie recaps like this. Thank you for watching.